This is Kate. Welcome back to the Comfy Chairs. I think an appropriate way to introduce today's episode is with this line from a gloss, or a short form verse, by Irish poet Seamus Heaney. Steady under strain and strong through tension. An essential element of both leadership and learning, our first preoccupations here at the Comfy Chairs, is adaptability, or the ability to move through a challenge and make changes while still remaining strong. The recent vocabulary about the human side of change has frequently revolved around the concept of resilience. The idea that an ability to spring back when you encounter change is the key to success. Imagine a rubber band snapping back to shape after every stretch. Not only is this a flawed model of what change demands of us, people have grown weary of resilience. Workers on the front line don't want to be told, you just need to be resilient. Employees can't carry the weight of necessary changes this way. They need help and support, not admonitions. Well, this is a job for adaptability. Because rather than asking people to spring back when change happens, the job of leaders now is to name, demonstrate, and provide for the mindsets, skills, and experiences that fully enable adaptation. In this and the next episode, I'm fortunate to have a conversation with a friend who has graciously agreed to share both his professional and personal stories with us. Mr. Bebbington, please.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's an absolute privilege.
Thank you.
My name is Wright Bebbington. I guess it'll come up originally from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known Kate for several years. Really, is it 8 years?
This was right before Nate and I got married.
Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Quite a while. And
it's gone fast.
And it's been lovely. But I've been living in the US for a little over 11 years now, and I work for a wonderful company, Select Additive Technologies, and we are a distributor of industrial 3D printing equipment to the manufacturing industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as I was thinking about topics I wanted to include in Comfy Chairs episodes, one of the ones that is constantly a discussion when we think about leadership and obviously learning is adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to come up with topics and list people and play a little matching game in my head. And Greg just kind of like popped off the paper when I thought about the idea of adaptability, because not only has he, entered a field that is brand new and constantly changing, he's also done things in his life that demonstrate the ability to change, grow, adapt, moving across the world. When I meet people like Greg who have made such significant changes, I'm always curious about not just the why, but the how. I'm very glad that you're here today. And I think the place for us to start is, before we continue to throw the word adaptability around, to define what it means. And I've got the dictionary, the etymology behind it. Of course you do too. Yep. But let's set that aside for a second. And let me ask you, when that word comes up, what do you think of first?
That's a really interesting question. For me, adaptability is, just being able to take whatever is being thrown at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without, I think when people think about, this person's adaptable, I have to be adaptable for everything. I mean, it's not the case, right?
Exactly.
Adaptability isn't in every aspect of your life, every situation,
mm-hmm.
right? You have to be adaptable at being adaptable.
Yeah. The last person I interviewed, Erin, she said several times in that conversation that context matters.
Exactly.
And
yeah, absolutely.
That's universal.
Absolutely. absolutely. And for me, and we'll go through this. Life throws a lot at you.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not going to be adaptable or flexible, you're going to break.
I like associating it with, it may be a bit of a tired metaphor at this point, but like the reed that bends.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's too brittle, if it's too rigid, it will snap.
Absolutely. That hits very true to me as an Irishman. We have a thing called one of our patron saints. Everyone knows our patron saint, St. Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
We have another patron saint, St. Bridget.
Oh, I don't think I knew she was considered a patron saint.
She is also a patron saint, yes. Okay. And I believe, I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but we make a St. Bridget's cross.
Okay.
And we make that from reeds.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen the one that you have on
I have
house.
have it over my door, yeah.
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 Yeah. And that is, you can make it from that because it bends.
Exactly.
What a fun little connection. Well, so you also went and studied the meaning of adaptability. Let's talk about that for a little bit. When you went and found, it comes from the Middle French and Latin.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out to you?
The dictionary definition, right, of all conditions or new conditions,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I agree with that, right? Well, I have to agree with it. It's the definition. Yeah. But it's not necessarily, you still have to be adaptable to reoccurring conditions, something that you've already experienced before.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget, we don't learn. And I think that's...
Oh, yeah. I agree with you 100%. Because it can be so easy when we get through something. Be like, all right, all done. Back to normal now. Right. One of the terms that comes up a lot with adaptability is resilience.
Yeah.
And it has a place, but in the last couple of years, I've started really chafing against the use of resilience. Mm-hmm. Because I think the most common mental model that people use is very misleading. Mm-hmm. And that's the rubber band.
Yeah.
So much content around change management.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be resilient, it's that getting back to the state. And that's not what change or even adaptation demands of us.
Yeah.
We have to be different as a result of it. We may bend and not break, but we're bent as a result of it. And the rubber band metaphor, I'm cautious about it because rubber bands break over time.
Right.
And that's not what we're looking for. I don't want people to snap.
I like the analogy more of it's a road that you take.
Okay.
All right. So, a lot of the time the road is straight. You're moving along and that's fine. But every now and then there's a turn in the road. Mm-hmm. And you either adapt and take the turn or you crash off the road.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. One of the words in the definition of adapt that popped for me was suitable. Mm-hmm. And modify is a synonym as well. So it's a suitable modification, which goes back to what's the context of it. I also love when you get into the derivative understanding of the original roots of the word, that there is a sense of intention, that it's this idea that we are prepared or put into a position and made ready, being put into a position, being prepared and ready for the circumstance. Mm-hmm. I believe the conversation about adaptability is ongoingly relevant. Mm-hmm. It's not going anywhere.
No.
Change is actually the one thing that we can count upon. It's been accelerated over the last few years, and anybody watching the news is seeing with AI, with workforce needs, that we are on the cusp of another big shift. And so we all have to be, leaders especially, adaptable and ready to change and alter and take the turns. And that's why I thought of my friend Greg. And I think other than asking, how do we define it? My next first question for you is, before I reached out and said, I want to talk about adaptability, Greg, I think you're the right person. Did you think of yourself as adaptable?
I guess before that, no, not really.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really think too deeply about it. I just, I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And, what you can only deal with what's put in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. In short, no, not really.
Okay.
It's not something I wouldn't say that was my overwhelming quality that I would pinpoint.
I think that gives us an interesting opportunity to have a conversation about kind of that unconscious competence.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I heard you say as we were getting everything hooked up is that, oh yeah, I do know.
Mm-hmm.
I do know what this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I have had the experiences.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think some of it also is that the Irish condition. We don't like to be very boastful about ourselves. Anyway.
That's fair. So as you've been reflecting on this, what does the ability to prepare and modify, in your opinion, what does that look like out in the world?
Out in the world, I think you have to look at things you try to look at things from all perspectives. It's very difficult at times, right, to understand what someone else is thinking, what their meaning
Mm-hmm.
behind what they're saying or doing is. But I think taking a step back and, the old thing of, count 10 seconds before you respond, right? But I think that trying to reflect on what the meaning behind something is. Actually, interestingly enough, today I was just watching, there was a tribute to the Irish singer Shane MacGowan. He passed away a couple of days ago. And one of his colleagues, Glenn Hansard, another famous Irish musician, was talking and reminiscing about Shane.
Oh, the Pogues. The
Pogues,
yeah,
exactly.
Thank you.
So he was talking a lot about him, but one of the things he said that Shane would always tell him when he's writing lyrics or thinking of lyrics is find the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Find the truth in that lyric that you just wrote. So I think thinking about what's being said and finding what the reality really is, because we like to connect the dots before the dots are actually there. A lot of times we come to our own conclusions, without taking into consideration what someone else is saying.
The thread that connects for me immediately is this idea of awareness. Mm-hmm. That there has to be awareness of yourself. What's my default setting, if you will? And then, am I aware of the circumstances and the other people? And am I not presuming that my take on things is the right way? I'm also kind of seeing the connection to what you were telling me before I hit record about some of your earlier jobs working in menswear and retail, mm-hmm. with different customers and clients. So that what's true for this individual seems to be part of
Absolutely.
the skill.
Absolutely. I mean, I go back to, I worked in men's retail for a long time when I was in college and a little bit afterwards as well. You never know who's going to walk through that door. Mm-hmm. And, the aim of the game is treating everyone the same, but you have to interact with them in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. So like I said, before we started recording, the bricklayer that came in on a Friday, to get some new clothes to go out to have a few pints on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you're going to interact with him in a different way than, let's say, the politician that's coming in for a suit.
Yeah.
It's a different, and you have to be very, very flexible and do it at a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
But also can't force it.
Yeah. Well, I like you're treating everyone the same, but not really.
Right.
And that's a lesson for leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I had an employee once she was my top potential person. I had a very small team. Mm-hmm. That top potential person came to me one day, like, you have higher expectations of me than you do of so-and-so. Yeah, I do. Here's why. Mm-hmm. I know that you're capable of this. I know what your aspirations are. I believe we can get you to that point. And this other person is in a significantly different role and a significantly different time in her career where she's heading toward retirement. You're going to be treated with the same respect, but I do have higher expectations of you. And it took her, like, she had to like go away and come back and digest that to understand that that was the right thing. She did want a manager that was adapting the approach and adapting the level of like, here's where you can perform. So we're going to have you up there. I'm treating you the same because I respect you both. I'm trying to give you as much autonomy as appropriate. And I'm evaluating where you are in your career and abilities. And then it results in something different. And I think the working with retail customers is a good, so many of us have that background in our youth. It's a good, oh yeah, that makes sense. So now when I go lead my people, am I adjusting?
Exactly. And I think that's, when it comes to leadership, right? I work in an industry that's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And we're trying to talk to a lot of our customers that are in traditional manufacturing, and we're coming with this new wild technology in their eyes. We're trying to advise them on how they can utilize this. Well, if we don't explain what it can and can't do correctly, they're going to have the wrong expectations running into this.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be very, very rigid. They're going to be very rigid on, well, this is the way I've always done it. Why would I change?
Yeah.
Right. So when we come into a situation like that, we need to tell them, listen, these are the benefits. Or in a lot of cases, we're like, well, the way you've been doing it is the right way, and we'll walk away. Right. Or we may try and pivot and say, well, if you look at something else, what they're doing, my company is we're very customer focused. I know all companies say that, but it's truly the decisions we make are through that lens of what's right for the customer.
Well, if you're telling somebody our product isn't right for you because it is the genuine truth, regardless of not getting the sale, that's the action that speaks for
Absolutely
the value there.
Absolutely.
And that is adaptable customer service. Exactly. Because what is suitable, right? Modifying the sales pitch, modifying what the goal is
exactly
for that customer. Yeah, it's a wonderful demonstration and way to think about adapting your approach. I shared with you that I think there's the event and choice dichotomy, if you will, when it comes to the skills, knowledge, and abilities associated with adaptability. That there are times where things happen to us and we have to learn it. And then times where we make choices and we get to apply what we know. Professionally, there's one story, and then personally, there's kind of another. And I think talking a little bit about some of your life experiences is a good lens for us to understand how somebody can become more adaptable. Do you want to start with your immigration?
Sure. I could tell the lovely stereotypical love story that sounds like it's made up.
It does sound a little made up.
Does.
It's so cool that it's true.
It really does. Yeah, in the, what we say, the mid 2000s, late 2000s. So I was living in Limerick City, in Ireland, and going about my life. Nothing too crazy. I wasn't setting the world alight with what I was doing, but
it's probably the best thing for most people in their mid-20s.
I know, right? But I'd taken a couple of weeks off work, hanging around with my buddies, and we decided to go to a bar. We walked in and noticed a lovely lady on the side of the bar. Took note, but also thought to myself, well, she's way out of my league. I'm not going to talk to her. So went into a little corner with my buddies, and we were having a couple of drinks. Thankfully, she has a lot more confidence than I do. She walked up to me, introduced herself, and asked if she could sit down. Melissa was her name, and we hit it off instantly. Exchanged numbers that night, and she was on a study abroad program.
Okay.
She was in the country for about a month, and we spent most of that time together.
Yeah.
She went home, kind of thought that was going to be the end of it, but we spoke every day, every single day, and we started traveling over and back to each other. We would see each other twice a year.
Okay.
For 4 years. We were dating for about a year, maybe. Things were going fine. I'd met her parents. She'd met mine. One day I got a phone call. She was supposed to come over to see me in Ireland, and I got a phone call from her father saying that Melissa's been taken into the hospital.
Mm.
She hadn't been feeling well over the previous couple of weeks, and turned out it was cancer. I immediately dropped everything I was doing, took out my credit card and didn't think about it, and jumped on a plane to go see her. So she had just gone through surgery. Everything had gone well. It was colon cancer. Little did I know, I found out about 2 years later, while I was sitting in the hospital, she was actually going to break up with me.
Oh.
Because she didn't want me to go through that. Thankfully, she didn't. She went through chemo, and we still spoke every day. After about 2 years, she went into remission. It was fantastic. This is going on 4 years of us dating, and I said, well, I guess this is going well. Should probably do something about this. So we ended up getting engaged.
Yeah.
And then the big conversation started about who was going to go where.
Yeah. Big conversation, I bet.
Big conversation. So, during this time, she had persuaded me to go back to college. She had just come out of remission. All of her doctors were over there. Ireland was still in the grips of a recession at the time. So,
okay.
For her to come to Ireland would have been a bit of a struggle,
mm-hmm.
To find work. I drew the short straw and made the decision to move to lovely Ohio. It was a big step, right?
mm-hmm.
To leave everything behind, all my family and friends. It's easy to get trapped into thinking about, well, this is what I'm leaving behind. This is going to make me very sad, all of this kind of stuff. But I also had the part of me going, well, I get to be with this amazing woman. There's a lot of opportunity out here. So I started looking to the positives then to kind of shun away the negative thoughts there. Not to say that they weren't there. There was always a little bit of apprehension, but obviously it went well. I'm here 11 years. It was a challenge coming over though. You talk about adaptability. I'm looking at it going, this is an easy move. I know the U.S. I watch American TV all the time.
I've been going there like once a year for the last 4 years. I must know it.
Exactly.
I speak the language.
I speak the language, or so I thought. That was a big an adjustment for me. I get very frustrated when people don't understand me. So when I first moved here, my accent was a little thicker.
I can imagine.
You've heard how thick it gets. Occasionally when I have a beverage or two. But I had to adjust. I had to slow down my speech, enunciate my words, especially when I'm, I call customers over the phone. And you're trying to communicate, some technical stuff.
That makes a lot of sense.
You want them to understand you, and so the accent I speak with when my accent isn't too thick, I call that my work accent. My work accent has overflowed into my normal life now, unfortunately. Especially when I go home and everyone makes fun of me.
Too adaptable.
For saying trash and gas station and things like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
What was the first kind of big, oh, this is different when you made your move? Do you remember?
I think one of the first things that I always remember is so where I grew up in rural Ireland, there's a lot of hills and mountains and things like that. I remember flying into Ohio in the daytime and going, where are the hills? Where, like,
No.
it's flat as the eye can see.
No, we don't have those, my friend.
That was that was a big shock. Even the simple things, going to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
You kind of take that for granted, right? You go into any grocery store in the US, it's kind of a similar layout, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different for me. Okay. One example is first time I went grocery shopping, I had to get eggs. So I went to where I would normally think eggs are in a grocery store, and they were nowhere to be found.
They're not refrigerated, are they?
We do not refrigerate our eggs.
It's a very, very different thing for us.
And I can be a little bit stubborn sometimes, so I don't like to ask for help a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I know, right?
Never seen that.
Yeah, but that was a big shock to me. That was a little different, but
okay.
It's those small things that they add up.
I bet they do.
You become a creature of habit sometimes, and little things like always being able to have your favorite cereal every morning, right? Getting the brands that you normally have for the last 29 years, and then you're in this foreign country and you're trying to find stuff that isn't full of sugar.
Yeah, you're out of luck here. It makes me think that in some ways it's the small differences, those things that are adding up, as you said, that become the source of change fatigue or burnout for people. Mm-hmm. The big stuff, it's I'm moving, I get to be with this woman, it's going to be an adventure, and then I can't get my favorite tea. Yeah. Nothing tastes the same. I can't find the eggs. Mm-hmm. The minimal pieces become big.
Yeah. And then you go into slightly bigger things like, well, now I need a doctor. I need a dentist.
Yeah.
How do I get all my records transferred over? That type of thing.
Did you finish your degree at that point?
Yes, I finished my degree at that point, yeah.
I don't think I knew that she made you go, not made, but that she convinced you to go back to school. I really love hearing that.
Yeah. So education was a big thing for her.
So you've made the move.
Made the move.
You're here in the States.
I'm here in the States.
And you were engaged at that point, right?
I was engaged until the day after I arrived. So I don't know if anyone knows, but the immigration process is quite complicated and drawn out. For me, I came over on a fiancé visa.
Okay.
You may have seen the show 90 Day Fiancé. That was me. Not quite, but Melissa was always very wanted to get things done, very efficient.
Okay.
Paperwork had to be done. Cross the T's and dot the lowercase J's. But the day after, she actually wanted to get married the day I arrived, but I was pretty tired. So
little intense, I bet.
She gave me half a day of relaxation. But we decided we would get married. We would have just the two of us. We'd go to the courthouse in Xenia.
Okay.
And do what we would call our paperwork wedding. And then 3 months later, we were going to have our actual wedding, which we had in Puerto Rico. We had all our families together. It was beautiful. But we got married as soon as we could because you have to put your paperwork through. I had to wait 6 months before I could actually work.
Okay.
I was not allowed to work for 6 months.
And you've been working a long time.
Since I was about 13.
Yeah, that's speaking of adaptation.
Yeah, so that was a challenge. Her father kept me busy, which was nice. He was moving to a new office, so I was the muscle, for lack of a better term.
Dog's body.
There we go. But that was very frustrating for me, not being able to work. I had already a job lined up, and they were just waiting for me then.
Okay.
To get going. I did have a wedding to plan. That was all on my shoulders. That was wonderful.
It's kind of a fun, quote unquote non-traditional thing in and of itself.
Yeah. It was mostly her father and me did a lot of the work organizing this. But she claimed she didn't want to organize it, but would critique everything we did.
That is a woman's prerogative.
That is absolutely. But that kept me busy for a while, and finally I got to enter the American workforce, which in itself, like I said, was a little bit of a challenge with accents and things like that. Working in, my background is engineering. Coming to the United States, one big issue is you guys don't like to use the metric system too much.
We do not. We do.
So
we very much do not. We go a long way to not use it.
Exactly. I mean, even today, 11 years later, when someone starts talking to me in inches, you'll hear me go silent for about 10 seconds while I do the calculation in my head to understand what they're talking about. I'm getting a little better.
What's the conversion? That's never like firmed up in my head.
24.5 millimeters to an inch.
Okay. That is unpleasant math.
We can edit that if that's wrong, right?
Look it up right now.
I am going to look it up. Oh, wrong way around.
So what is it?
25.4 millimeters to an inch. Nice round number, 25.4. Love it.
Is that something that you feel like, even though it's weird and maybe a little annoying, my words, not yours, do you feel like you've adapted to it? It's just the
absolutely.
circumstance.
It's second nature at this point.
Yeah. Well, and there are things too that you decide this is not where I'm going to plant my stake, right?
Yeah.
This is something I will change around.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've gone almost so far the other way now, where we'll talk in weight, right? So pounds over here, kilograms in Ireland, and they'll talk about, I talk to my father about sport a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be talking about something. I'm like, oh, he's about 210 pounds. He's like, what are you talking about? Well, what's that in kilograms? I'm like, actually, I have no idea. I can't do the math in my head.
It would be nice if we were all on the same system.
Well,
it's never going to happen.
Nope.
But
no, too expensive.
Well, expensive, and there is a connection to identity, right, wrong, or indifferent. But the U.S. has kind of tied up its understanding of itself with things like we don't use metric.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a horrible sweeping generalization. But it does illustrate that you have to have a certain amount of humility to be somebody who adapts. Because those sorts of changes, things like I'm going to flex and use the system, I'm going to change my style, I'm going to adapt my accent, the examples you've shared, you're setting aside your own ego when you do that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. And, in all honesty, it was a struggle sometimes. I did have that thought about, what does this do to my identity as an Irish person? Yeah. Especially when you go home and guys are messing with you, calling you the Yank.
Well, now that you're a citizen, it's true.
I know, right? Well, it's this Christmas will be my first time home as a real Yank. So
yeah, get ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. that's one of the things I think that is central to being good at adapting is recognizing that your ego maybe needs to take a back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do.
It's not.
No.
But it's like counterintuitively, it's also very freeing.
Absolutely.
Because then, to your point, for those recurrent things, or because the next change is going to happen, it just is, then you're freer because life throws things at you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You talk about, it's very freeing. I'm probably skipping ahead a little bit here.
Do it.
This is quite a personal story, but I'll decide if I want to keep that in there.
Okay.
But you talk about that very freeing and adaptability. So after Melissa passed away, I meet a lot of new people all the time, right? And no matter how much of my work accent I put on, they'll still hear a little bit of Irish, right? And it'll come up with this. Where are you from? I hear a bit of an accent. I'll tell them I'm from Ireland, and the first question they'll ask me is, "What brought you to the US?"
Guilty.
Right? And for quite a while after Melissa passed away, I used to lie to them and go, "Oh, just came over for work." And it ate at me a little bit. And I eventually took a pause and went, why am I doing this? And I realized it's to save the other person from that awkwardness at my own expense. And I said, well, why am I doing this? So eventually I stopped doing that. And I would tell them my late wife was from Ohio and I moved here. And it actually, it became very freeing, but it also allowed some other people that I've met to open up. I have a story. I was just recently in France for the Rugby World Cup, and I was meeting some of my friends over there, but I got there a little bit early and could check into my Airbnb. So I decided to go to a cafe, sat outside with all my bags, and there was a couple beside me, sitting right beside me, and me being one of never meeting a stranger in my life, struck up a conversation with them. We were talking for maybe 15, 20 minutes or something like that, and the question came up, so what brought you over to the States? And I told them, well, my late wife, she was from Ohio, and we dated for 4 years and ended up moving over. And the two of them took a look at each other. They both looked at each other. And I said, well, actually, they lost their son about a year before. Sorry, about a year before then. It was actually a pretty high profile incident that happened that I was aware of.
Okay.
And we spent the next 40 minutes talking about their son, and this was a trip that he was supposed to be on. His younger brother was there, but his friends were taking care of him. And I mean, without being flexible or adaptable to share what I had to say, we wouldn't have had that experience with each other.
It's those choices that you made years before set you on that path, that turn that you took. And you got to give the gift of hearing their story, and you got to make a connection with people that way. And that's when we make the choice to grow. Those are the types of benefits we can reap down the road. And it's not fun or easy.
No,
but it's worthwhile.
It's not. And, those being able to make a genuine connection with someone these days,
right?
It's few and far between.
Exactly.
So that, really being, coming back to adaptability, being open is the big key there.
Yeah.
You have to be open.
I do want to, and we kind of skipped from getting married to the news of Melissa's death.
Yeah.
I don't want to put salt in that particular wound, and it's a big part of your story.
Yeah, and over the years I've become a lot more comfortable with talking about it. Every now and then I'll still break down, but that's the nature of the beast, as it were. But Melissa and I got married on April 1st of all days. Her idea, not mine. But we had a wonderful time in Puerto Rico. We had the Irish and the Puerto Ricans got together, and we had one hell of a party. But we got home to Ohio maybe a few weeks afterwards, and Melissa had her checkup, and we unfortunately got the news that the cancer was back. That was a big punch in the gut. Stuff had to change again. I was just started work, and Melissa had to go back into chemo again. She went into chemo, and then she needed to have surgery.
Okay.
But a lot of the doctors that she went to didn't want to do it. This was very high risk of where the cancer was located. And we finally went to a doctor at the James in Columbus who said, yeah, I'll do it. Of course I'll do it. She endured a very, very long surgery. I think it was 8 or 9 hours, and came out of it no problem. Melissa's a very tough woman, and recovered from that surgery. It was tough, but we had a lot of support as well. I think that's something people lose sight of as well.
Tell me more about that.
You don't have to do everything by yourself. One of the most important things about adaptability, right, is know when to ask for help.
You're absolutely right, Greg.
This is an extreme case where you have to go through this, but people go through this all the time, but they don't do it alone. And you need to, again, we talk about putting your ego aside a little bit, because sometimes ego can come into this. It's like, be stubborn, I can do this myself. But leaning on the people that are willing to help and understanding that you're not being a burden, that's very, very important. So this was, obviously upended our lives for a while, and after the surgery and that, we thought things were going okay. And then a few months later, things started to look a little bit strange again. Numbers were going up again, and there was a little bit of confusion about what was going on. And we finally found out that the cancer had metastasized and had moved into her bones.
Okay.
We were still trying to look for hope somewhere. But unfortunately, Melissa lost her very heroic battle. And it was a day that no one wants to experience. It's I'm trying to find my thought here.
You want to take a break?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
A day like that for me, this was the reason why I'd come to the United States.
Yeah.
And, it's a rug that's pulled from underneath you, but underneath that rug is an abyss.
Oh.
And
Greg, that, oof. Not to minimize it, but what a visceral way to talk about what you experienced.
Yeah, and I've had time to think about it. Lots of time. Too much time. But again, you have luckily for me, I had some fantastic people around me. Her family was there. We're still very, very close.
Those relationships are really precious. I count myself lucky that I get to witness how her family treats you.
Yeah, they're special. That's for sure. And I also had a good network of friends. And thankfully, my work was amazingly understanding. Gave me whatever I needed, and as much time as I wanted to come back. I actually while I was off on bereavement leave, got a call from one of the executive vice presidents.
Yeah.
To say, check up on me first. And then said to me, you take as much time as you need. We'll be here whenever you're ready to come back.
Wow.
And, I think I'm very lucky in that respect. I don't know if every company is like that. I don't think so. Yeah. But, it's a very difficult time where you're trying to figure out what's next, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you cope? And sometimes well, sometimes not.
Well, it's something that you would never choose for yourself.
Right.
And what happens next?
Yeah. And I think, when we talk in terms of adaptability, right? We'll go back to that. I think some people think it's an instantaneous thing that you do, that it's a physical act that you do, but it's not. Again, I go back to that analogy of the road. It's a journey. And sometimes the turns are the right turns, sometimes the turns are the wrong turns.
Yeah. You miss your turn a lot.
A lot of the time. Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's not instantaneous, and it's a combination of things that you do you get people to help you do. And, I used to use a little bit of a mantra of just put one foot in front of the other. And that's some days that's all I could do.
Yeah.
And if I can do that, I'm moving in the correct direction. Like I say, sometimes wrong, sometimes right turns, but you're still trying to move forward.
Sometimes it's 1 foot.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily
Absolutely.
get to take like 1,000 steps.
Yeah.
Some days you get 1 step. And that's obviously the case with grief. It's also the case when people are faced with any type of life-changing event. Job loss.
Yeah.
Decisions being taken from you, or you perceiving that as such. I don't want it to be the constant refrain, but the pandemic did that to people too.
Yeah.
And it's never about putting somebody's loss or circumstances, like on a scale above or below.
Right.
It's acknowledging the fact that when those things happen that we would never choose for ourselves, the changes you have to make are sometimes those incremental, I'm just going to move my toe forward.
Right.
Because it's all I can do. And if it's all you can do, then you've done it.
Yeah.
You're right, though. It's not immediately. Anybody that's watched a child grow and experienced a teenager going through growth spurts, you know that there's a process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Melissa. I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I know I've said it before. I'm sorry I never met her.
No, you would have loved her. Everyone did.
I am going to grant us a break at this point. Please look for the second half of our conversation next week when Greg and I continue to talk about how adaptability is fed with curiosity, humility, and support. Thank you. You'll find Comfy Chairs updates and other thoughts on leadership and learning on Instagram at 123 Limited. That's ONE23 LTD. Until next time.